Ready. Set.
Gamecast.
Welcome to Ready, Set, Gamecast, a bi-weekly podcast about video games and the underbelly of a salamander. I'm Bryce, and I'm joined by the exobiologist extraordinaire, Matthew.
I can't tell you about the underbelly of a salamander, but I can tell you about a lot of different bugs I've been catching.
What can you tell me about them?
That this owl I talk to seems really excited every time I bring him one.
Actually, from what I know about him, he seems really unexcited about it.
Well, he's disgusted but excited. But I think he just eats them, so...
I don't think that's how that goes. He seems to know a lot about them, but also in a way of like making it sound as horrifying as possible. Okay, well, clearly Matthew is referencing a video game experience, which brings us to column A of the trajectory of a podcast, where we talk about what have you been playing. Matthew, what is that?
Of course, the game I was talking about is Round Guard.
I don't get it.
Oh, no, that's not the game I was talking about. Round Guard is a different video game that I've been playing.
I don't know Round Guard, so maybe it's got a smart ass.
Okay. So Round Guard came out last Friday. Or, well, I don't know. That probably doesn't help with context of when this releases. Round Guard came out about a week ago from when we are recording right now.
Round Guard came out in the past.
Yes.
The recent past. Unless you are listening to this podcast like 3 years from now.
Then it came out, though, so it's out there. If you're listening from the future...
Unless there was some sort of copyright issue in which they have taken it down and you can no longer access it, but otherwise, you're good.
If you like Peggle, you'll probably like Round Guard.
Isn't that the one where you shoot the balls and then they disappear?
Yeah, so when you're thinking of Balloon Burst, whatever that's called, Bubble Burst, Bubble Blast, something like that. Like a balloon shooter game, I think is what you're talking about. You have a little thing at the bottom and you shoot up. Yeah. Peggle's kind of the opposite. If you think of like Plinko on The Price is Right, where you drop the thing and it hits little pegs as it goes down. That's kind of what Peggle is, and you get a score when you do that. Round Guard takes that and it throws you into a dungeon and makes it a roguelite. Roguelike light. Yeah. So you are a character like a warrior, a mage, or a rogue, and you have little abilities, and then you kind of shoot yourself into the board and you bounce around. You collect gold pots, you collect health pots and mana pots, and you fight enemies, and it's kind of like a 1-for-1 exchange. When you run into an enemy, they do damage to you and you do damage to them. So every board is kind of a puzzle in that way, but it's kind of unpredictable because you bounce around. And then there's some unlockable abilities. You have 2 slots for those. So like the warrior did like a spin attack, the mage, I do like electric shocks from the walls sometimes. The thief or the rogue had, what did the rogue have? Something I really liked. I don't know. I found the rogue to be like the most enjoyable character, but I can't remember the ability right now because it's been like a week since I played her. I've been playing the mage. The mage I cannot complete a run in. I was able to with the warrior. I was able to with the rogue, but the mage is like impossible for me. But if you like Peggle, I think you'd like Round Guard. You can look it up. Yeah, it's pretty good. Do you like Peggle, Bryce?
I thought it was Bubble Burst, so I don't know. I've never played Peggle. I know what Plinko is.
Okay, yeah, it's like kind of that.
But also, I don't think I would enjoy an entire video game that was Plinko, because that seems more like a betting mechanism.
I mean, it is a little bit, yeah. It has that randomness to it, right?
So it's
that controlled randomness.
Instead of rolling a d20, you're dropping a Plinko.
Yeah, that sounds like you're taking a poop, but yeah.
Yeah. What part of the mechanism do you think is the Plinko?
When you're pooping?
No. If you're playing the game Plinko, like what is the Plinko? You know how like
I think that's like onomatopoeia, and it's the sound that it makes when it hits pegs. It goes Plinko.
Okay. What?
But when you're pooping, it's onomatopoeia for when it hits the water. Plinko.
What else have you been playing?
The only other thing, well, I've been playing Breath of the Wild. I didn't write that on the list. I just wanted to mention it again because Breath of the Wild is like my happy place. I've realized. I compared it to picking up sticks in the yard the other day, and I think that's like actually super accurate. I don't know why. It's like there's a little bit of a task to it, but it's relaxing and enjoyable, if that makes sense. Like in my mind, the connection was Breath of the Wild was like going outside and doing something.
Okay, I feel like if you had not told me, oh, I am speaking about Breath of the Wild right now, and we're just using that description, I would assume you're talking about a different game that you're about to talk about. Not.
Oh yeah, the game where I actually go outside and pick up sticks.
Yes.
Animal Crossing. It also has that quality to it. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, because you do pick up sticks in that one.
You literally do that. To be fair, in Breath of the Wild, you also can pick up branches and use them for things.
It's not a good strategy. You're not going to do well in the game if you
don't light your branches on fire and then just burn stuff. See what happens.
No, I'm not a crazy person.
Oh,
at least not all the time.
Experimentation. That's.
So
yeah, what do you think about Animal Crossing? Have you been playing it?
I have also got Animal Crossing. We started at 11 o'clock our time when it became available, which I think every single person was trying to launch it digitally at the time.
Yeah.
Because when I went to launch it, I got a message that I've never seen before of like, you can't start this game right now. And it's like usually when you try and launch it, it's like, well, let's check. And I think it was a deal of like, we can't access the servers to find out because everybody was trying to get in. So it was overloaded. And we did find out, just for shits and giggles, I was like, well, what happens if I go to the eShop? And I went to the eShop and then backed back out. And that I guess as long as it could make a connection to the server, it allowed me to get in. So I did that. But we just went through me and my girlfriend have been playing. We went through the tutorial and then called it a night because I had work in the morning.
It's interesting that it had to ping the server for that. I guess it's like to unlock it.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the digital
it needs
copy.
to know that it's actually the correct time because people could just change their clocks. I'm curious if there's any way to. There probably isn't a way to cheat it because I'm sure there's. Like, that is why it has to ping the server, the actual Nintendo server, because maybe you could set your router to tell them it's a different time or something. There's probably people who have
there's got to be
work around it, but they probably have it more locked down due to shenanigans. So yeah, I've been playing it since its release, but not as much as other people, especially just because I'm not. I guess. I've seen a lot of people who are like, okay, I got my house loan. House loan's getting paid off today so that tomorrow I have a completely new thing.
A new house loan.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, that's a lot of just kind of just doing the same things over and over of like, I've got this thing, I got another carp and I'll go sell it. And like the cycle there isn't that exciting. It feels like slow because I have to go through the same dialogue every time of like, hey, do the thing and then select them. And then it doesn't feel like a great cycle. So someone saying, I'm going to get 100,000 today. It's like, that seems like a lot. And like, I'd rather wait for like the museum to be built so that I can have something else to do while I'm working towards that. I will say, okay, here is my thoughts as a first-time Animal Crossing person.
Oh, okay, so this one's your first one.
Yeah, this is my first one. So they do give you the 4 island choices, which I guess I made the mistake of watching a video beforehand about like what to think about when picking your map, because I found out that there's some things that aren't changeable when you get terraforming, like where your rivers exit to, those can't be changed. They're like you'll have a land that jets out into the ocean that can't be moved. The rocks I don't think can be adjusted that go out into the water. So I knew that I wanted my land that juts out into the ocean to be at the back left of my island. So I ended up restarting several times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get the right one. But I finally did. And so it seems like no matter what you pick, you are going to be stuck on the wrong side. Well, not on the wrong side, but like stuck behind the river. Like you cannot access your whole deal.
They definitely gate you.
Yeah, there's like, it seems like there's two gates, one with the river where you have to get the pole vaulting stick to get past that, and then another gate where you need the ladder to get up higher.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten past that yet, so I don't know what exciting things are up there other than like I can see flowers and a praying mantis. So here's my problem with this is that they lock you into this small area, but then they say, hey, where are you going to set up? Where's your tent going to be? Where are these people going to be? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll put my tent here. And then I'm like, okay, but I'm going to wait to build my house because I paid off with Nook Miles. That didn't take too long. I'm like, I'm going to wait to build my house until Blathers shows up so I can get my pole vaulting deal so that I can build my house over here.
Right.
No, it's just an upgrade thing. You can't move it until, like, you have to continue down that chain to even get a chance to move it. And when you do get a chance to move it, it's going to cost you 30,000 bells.
Right.
And it's like, if you're going to charge me for the ability to move my house, let me get it right the first time. I don't understand why they're being like, hey, you have to put your house in a shitty location because there is a
it's because it's tutorialized, though.
But then don't charge me later. I'd be fine if I can put it here to start and then move it later for free. But the fact that I'm like putting this stuff in the bad places where I'm like, this is not ideal. I know what my back of my map looks like. There's a dope spot for my.
There's a place I've cleared out over there.
Yeah. There's a great, like, I got this thing at the back that looks real cool. There's a little pond there that I could put my stuff. It'd look real cool, but I couldn't access it yet. So I'm like, oh, I'll wait till I can get to that. And I can't even move now that I can get over there. I can't even move it there till I think you get like the proper building, and then it's gonna cost you 30,000 for your house, and then 50,000 for everybody else's.
Like if you want to move the museum or town hall or whatever.
I think other people's houses also. So yeah, just making the stuff laid out correctly in an ideal way.
I have to say, I was in the same boat where I was holding on to the museum tent. I was like, okay, well, should I wait to get my pole vault because I don't want it over here? And then I finally just folded. This is like late last night. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to put it down so it's up and running and stuff. And
yeah. Because you need him to give you the thing. So it's
right.
It's real annoying that this gate is kind of preventing you from making the town that you want.
I understand why it is, though. I guess I can understand the frustration with having to pay bells for it, but I almost feel like that's just like, it is what it is because Tom Nook is who he is. But yeah, I guess like they could give you one for free on moving your house or something.
Or I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm gonna want to move once I have the ability, just because. I mean, and there's also a lot of terraforming. Like, there's I guess the end game is just going to be grinding to make the town laid out
exactly
in the way I want, which it also means like I have to exist in a not great situation. Like, I would like to add they give me a little piece and I place it where I wanted, and then I expand and then maybe I do get a new piece that I'm like, oh wait, this actually throws off how I want things. Let me rearrange it later. But as I'm getting each new piece, I want to be able to put it perfectly in the right spot, and it feels bad. I don't like how it is.
It's funny because, like, yeah, I picked my island with there was an island inside my island, right, based on the way the rivers worked.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to build my house and have that middle island as, like, my own thing, and then everyone else could live around it. And I was like, all right, I can't get there yet, so I'll build right here for now. But then as it's progressing and I'm placing things around my house and, like, planting flowers and putting up, like, the birdhouse, and I was like, I kind of like it here. And I'm, like, kind of falling into, this is actually pretty good. But I do still have it in, like, the back of my mind, like, okay, that island will be mine.
See, yeah, the place I put it, I was like, I guess this is fine. But I'm not, the more I'm there, I'm like, the more that, like, because I put it just to the left of the river that runs to the right. Because I have it where the two rivers exit at the bottom. So there's the big loop. So I have it on the...
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, on the far right side of it. And, like, the more I'm kind of there, it's like, oh, this doesn't feel great. And even, like, I put blathers at the back left of against the river, and I'm like, a lot of this, like, doesn't feel like it's laid out well. And also, I let the village, because I had no real idea. I just let the villagers be like, hey, I think I'm gonna go here, and I'm like, sure,
yeah,
fine. Because I guess I didn't know that the stakes were so high of, like, you're not moving them. This is where it's gonna be until I don't know,
I chose
a
their
month
spots.
from now. And I feel like, I don't know if it's the age we live in and the kind of interconnectivity, the streaming content creating life. I feel like this is kind of making me view Animal Crossing in a way other than it's supposed to be, of, like, I feel like I'm falling behind because I waited to build my house, that I'm, like, a day behind because I was like, well, I'm not going to upgrade. Oh wait, I need to upgrade to access this other stuff to be able to progress in the story, to be able to get to move in my house. So I'm have to wait for my house to be built for me to be able to unlock the next thing, to unlock the next thing. And so my girlfriend is basically a day ahead of me.
Right. So that's the thing, is, like, you two are probably directly. So I'm in a similar boat where I need a little bit more iron resource so I can get an upgrade to a building, basically.
Yeah.
And I want to do that tonight so that building is built and I don't have to wait a full day. If I can do it tonight, then tomorrow it'll be built, and when I play, it'll be there.
Yeah.
But if I wait till tomorrow, then I have to wait till Monday,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, and I think, like, I feel like it's got people kind of, like, rushing to do these things, and it's supposed to be kind of a chill, like,
I think it will relax. I think it's just, like, getting through that kind of those initial steps, because once those buildings are there, then it's like, okay, you can kind of chill out and take it at your own pace, I think. But there is this weird rush to it. Yeah,
and I know that, like, I'm visiting other people's islands, I'll see what they have, and I'm like, oh, they're way ahead of me. Like, I feel like not a good enough compared. Like, my island sucks compared to theirs because they did the things right away. They checked the boxes. They got paid off their house right away, so that so the game came out. For me, Thursday night at 11. So if you really, really booked, I think it would work better if you were on the West Coast and had several hours to pull it off. You could really book it, pay off your house, and then build pay off your tent, and then build a proper house. So the next day you've got your house. So then you can work towards, and even you could have Blathers arrive on Friday, and be going that way. Like, it feels like a race, and I feel like I'm falling behind, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like the vibe it's supposed to be.
It is a bit weird. Like, I don't know. It does mellow out.
It's yeah. Probably once you kind of get several things. I mean, because I'm still able to make progress. I'm probably on track as same as everybody with the museum.
Right. And ultimately, it's like you spend your time where you want to. Like at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
you'll eventually open, whatever, the community center or the museum or your house, or you'll get to your second mortgage or whatever.
Yeah.
Just it's
Yeah.
where you invest your time, I guess.
Yeah, I actually took a nap before this podcast, and I guess while I was doing that, my girlfriend was playing in bed next to me, and she paid off her mortgage. So it's like, oh, cool. So you're going to be on to the next thing. Unless after this podcast, I just sit and try and grind out my deal. Which even then, she already has her house. So tomorrow, my house gets built. Actually, I don't even have a proper house yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be behind. I guess we'll probably talk about that next time and see how we're feeling. But one thing, quick deal I want to talk about is Exit the Gungeon dropped that was announced in the Nindies video that they put out. There was nothing there that really blew my hair back, so we're not going to kind of cover it in general, but you can watch the I guess it's Indie World is the name of the actual video.
Nintendo's Indie World. Which,
yeah, I know they used to call it Nindies, but I think they call it Indie World now.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like they focused a lot on like outside of the US games, if that makes sense. Like a lot of internet, like for me being in the US, I was like, oh, there were a lot of international developers. Is that why it's called Indie World? I don't know.
But they announced Exit the Gungeon, which is a sequel to Enter the Gungeon, except this one is God, is there a term for like where you're not where everything's on a flat plane, where you're just able to move left and right and up and down?
Side scroller.
Yeah. So I guess
platformer. I don't know.
I think it's a side scroller would be considered if the sides scroll.
Right, but it's vertical because it's going up, but it's one screen.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, so I guess a flat deal, because the other one was pixelated, but you could move. I guess
kind of shoot 'em up,
3D-ish. Yeah, I'm not sure what the exact term is, but it's a different style from Enter the Gungeon in more than one way. You're not able to kind of move back and forth. It's not kind of 3D isometric-ish like Enter the Gungeon was. But I would say the biggest thing, well, that's probably a big change too. But in Enter the Gungeon, you were picking up new guns and switching that out. In Exit the Gungeon, every 5 seconds or something, it's a real short amount of time, they switch out your gun. And because in Enter the Gungeon, the guns are wildly different. Like some will shoot bullets, and some will shoot guns that shoot bullets. Some are beam weapons. Some are guitars that shoot out notes. Like they all feel different. But in Enter the Gungeon, you have plenty of time to shoot it and get a feel for it and stuff. Exit the Gungeon, they're constantly changing every 5 seconds. So, you'll be shooting a guy, and suddenly you have a different gun, and like, I don't know what I'm doing now. How do I fight this guy? And it's very confusing, and I don't like it. And maybe it's something that I have to spend more time with. But maybe if there was a longer time that I had each gun, but I feel like due to the huge variety of the ways you interact with the guns, the way that they play. I feel like at any moment I'm everything's about to go bad, and that could be me getting a better gun. Like they could give me a gun that does more damage, but I would have no idea how to shoot it or how to fight this battle now, because 5 seconds ago I was fighting him with a guitar, and now I have a rocket launcher.
I was thinking it looks very claustrophobic, like from what I've seen of it.
It definitely,
you're on what, like one main platform with maybe one or two above it?
There, it's an elevator type situation, because you're supposed to be riding elevators up. Occasionally, the elevator will stop and you can get out, and then there'll be a thing where you can jump up and down. But for the most part, it seems like you're on this kind of elevator where enemies are kind of spawning in, and then you have to fight them. And yeah, it's very close quarters, and that's what also helps make it so, like, I don't know, challenging in I would be completely fine with that if it wasn't for the confusing nature of the what am I going to be using in the next second.
Right.
Because yeah, having a close quarters battle would be cool, but just let me know what gun I have. I will say it's $10 on Switch. That's where I've been playing it, so it's a low bar for entry to try it out. But so far, I haven't enjoyed it, and I'll probably try it more, and maybe have something else to say, or maybe I'll say it again next time. But before that, we're going to enter the next section. And
enter the.
Are you ready, Matt?
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, this is the news.
There you go, Matt. It's everything
Wow.
you've ever wanted.
I don't know if that's what I wanted. I unwant that if that's what I wanted.
Well, this brings us to the news. We're going to hit some things that most people probably know up front. E3 was canceled. We talked about this a little bit of like what would happen if E3 was canceled. It happened, which was probably the smartest call.
Yeah, I believe last episode I said like, oh, you probably have like a month before you have to, and then like things just kept progressed at such a pace where it's like, oh, everyone's just living, under a rock soon. So.
Yeah, it kind of was a thing of like, at the state we were in, where the coronavirus was, yeah, they probably had time, but then things sped up in terms of that, so people needed to be like, actually, we need to make moves now, because currently LA is shut down. The entire state, the entire California is shut down.
There you go.
Well, LA is where E3 would happen, so.
No. Oh, E3. Yeah, I was thinking one of the other stores. Sorry, I was thinking GDC.
So it looks like Xbox and other game companies are kind of planning to move to online presentations, which seemed like the obvious thing. And I guess we'll probably see how that looks closer to the event. Or closer to their presentations, which we've already seen an idea of what that looks like, because GDC was canceled, and then we got a online presentation of Sony's GDC presentation, which we'll be talking about later. Matt, what do you think of our all online future?
I think it's fine, and it's a long time coming, or it's been a long time coming. It's my preferred way. Like, I don't know, I watch Twitch streams of E3 press conferences, and then I watch Twitch streams of E3 floor interviews, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
As far as like the business side of E3, it doesn't make a difference to me as a consumer. And I don't know, there's probably adverse effects as far as the actual business of games if you're developers trying to work with publishers or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But from a viewer perspective, it's it's kind of business as usual, but it'll be better, right? Because it'll be more like scheduled and condensed, and I think probably more well presented.
Yeah, I've went to E3 about 9 years ago when it was still press only, and that it's very cool. But that E3 is gone. Just as soon as they opened it up to the average person, it's kind of become nothing. Like, it's not PAX, which is the thing
Right.
that's open to people and built for that, and it's not really a great place for press. And so E3 has kind of been like, what are you? And so yeah, moving away from that makes sense. We can still get our news, and your average person wasn't really getting into those the big Xbox reveal,
Right, like any
things
behind closed door events or anything like
Yeah.
that, or even theater events, right?
Yeah, so honestly, like, things aren't really changing in terms of that, and the people who were excited to go to E3 should probably just go to PAX anyway.
Right.
Hey, if you were excited to go to GameStop, for a minute there you had the option, even if the entire state was closed down, but that was maybe a real bad move by the GameStop company.
It seems like GameStop comes up every episode. And one of these times we're just gonna be like, "Hey, remember GameStop?"
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah. Uh,
There's two times that things come up a lot. Either things are going really well or things are going really bad. And I think you know which one is the case with GameStop. So
it's kind of
basically,
sad. I'm kind of sad about it a little bit. I don't know.
I haven't stepped foot in a GameStop for a long time since I worked there, just because like I was not a fan of how that company ran. But lately, like it's it's kind of like if you know your racist grandpa is dying, you're like,
you're
you're
like,
like,
your grandpa.
you're like he really sucked, but he's not gonna be around for much longer. So it'd be nice to visit him. so. So we've been so I've been going to it a bit since lately, just kind of I guess because I have a friend who works there, but mostly just to kind of visit grandpa one last time while it's still around. Also amiibos, mostly amiibos.
Has he told you any good stories from the console wars?
No, he's just hoping we get another one before he goes.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Is like I would have thought they'd at least make it, but I don't know if they will. I don't know if they're gonna make it to the console launch.
Yeah, I think this is honestly this move might be the reason that they that it's over for them because
yeah, let's get to the actual story here finally.
Okay,
Whoops,
so
sorry.
they made this move of saying, "Hey, we're not closing our stores even if the government says, "Hey, everything's closed except for essential services," which are supposed to be grocery stores and hardware stores, things that like, "Hey, this is stuff that you're going to need at a moment's notice." And GameStop is like, "We're that. We help with at-home business stuff." And it's like, how? What? No, and also that's not even essential. Even if you need a webcam, that's not essential for a pandemic. So eventually the government was like, actually, yes, you are closing. And from my understanding, the state of Pennsylvania has taken away their business license. They cannot operate in Pennsylvania anymore. After that, I guess the push came to shove, GameStop was like, fine, and they're closing all their U.S. stores, and moving to digital orders and curbside pickup.
Right. So not permanently closing the stores, but closing them for the time being.
Yeah. Close. Not allowing people in them, which. The stuff that like I went in one just the other just to see like how things were going after the announcement of like, hey, we're essential services, just to kind of see if my friend was working and be like, hey, it's EMTs and GameStop workers, the important people. Which is funny because I actually work at a place that has been deemed essential services. So actually I will be working even if they do close everything.
Are you excited about that? Because job security?
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
But so yeah, they're closing down for the time being, and I think there's several businesses that I think are doing this kind of like, hey, we're open but you can't come in. Like I know our like McDonald's in town is like drive-through only, just trying to limit.
I think that's how most restaurants are functioning right now, if they are open at all.
Yeah, they're like, you can interact with us, but just like, here's your food and get out of our face.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the move of them not closing is a sign of just how bad they're doing.
Right. Like, what else could it? Yeah, that's that's such a telltale move. Like, come on, guys.
Of like, if we cannot sell Doom and Animal Crossing, we're done. And then, but their lack of closing is probably what's going to hurt them even more.
Right.
So I guess we'll see. Maybe next time we go, hey, it blew up. The company's gone.
Yeah, it might be. Like, honestly.
So
Reggie joined their board. That happened in the last.
Yeah, so Reggie's joining the board. I don't think he's there till next month. So
they're not going to even make it that long. Are they?
he might not not actually. He'll be like, it's my first day, and then there'll just be like a closed sign hanging on the corporate.
Oh no.
So a sign that things might be getting better is that the Game Developers Conference has rescheduled for August, calling it GDC Summer. I know that some people are saying like, hey, maybe like we don't know if things will be better by summer, but I do know that some things are trying to move to kind of a summer time, hoping that things will be getting better, but also just the weather in general will help with the coronavirus spread. So GDC's back on for August. We'll see if that
It's only going to be a 2-day show rather than the full week. And they say it's less structured. So it's just like it's a light thing. I bet it's probably like if you're in the San Francisco area or can easily get there, like you might want to come by.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of their plans, obviously like the PlayStation thing isn't happening, so they're just kind of doing kind of a casual thing.
Yeah.
I don't have Matt, do a sick transition for this next story.
Okay. The AI is going to take over sooner or later. But in Overwatch, the AI is landing soon, TM.
I don't think you know what a transition is, but okay.
Why?
A transition is supposed to like link the last story to the next story.
Oh, well, mine was more of just
a random statement. You could have just said, new Overwatch hero. Look at
mine
this.
was more of a lead-in.
I guess, yeah.
That
would be
the
tease.
Term.
Yeah.
Burying the lead.
Okay, go ahead.
Overwatch is getting a new hero, which is... What number hero is this? Number 32. The 32nd hero in Overwatch is Echo.
Can I try doing a transition for it?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So you could say that the Game Developer Conference Summer is like an echo of the former event, just like there's an echo coming to Overwatch.
That was pretty good.
Thanks. It took me a minute, but we got there.
All right, we'll edit that. Got that? Like that goes first, and then we'll go into the story.
Okay.
Yeah, Echo is the newest hero for Overwatch, and she's actually one of the original characters, apparently, that they designed for Titan, which was the MMO that Overwatch eventually, the failed MMO, more or less. It was a sci-fi MMO that they transitioned into Overwatch eventually. So she's been kicking around for a long time. She apparently, in her backstory, kind of helped make the Omnics, or design the original Omnics. And there's a not an Overwatch short per se, but there is one of the like hero backstories, so not like the full animated, Pixar style short, but one of the more just like character origin story videos to watch. What makes her unique is that she can steal other characters' abilities.
She's a thief. I thought it was because on the one map she does karaoke.
Oh. she only sings backup. That's the bad Echo joke. I feel like that didn't work.
Oh.
Yeah. See,
I
there's
don't,
a reach.
I know that like I saw the video and it just seemed like her kind of making grunting noises, so I was like, that would make sense that it's backup, but also
yeah. But she seems pretty cool because she can steal other characters' abilities. That's her ultimate. When she's near a character on the other team, she can basically take their ability or their kit and then have their abilities for a little bit of time. She's a damage character, which it's been a little while since they've added one. I think 2018 was actually the last time they added a damage character. So all last year you got a support and a tank. So they're kind of on that schedule still, it seems, but also people seem to think that she's one of the last heroes, if not the last hero that'll be added before Overwatch 2.
It makes sense. I mean, I imagine they probably got to be knee deep in Overwatch 2 stuff. So.
I actually listened to Jeff Kaplan, the director of the game. He was on a stream on Twitch playing with the streamer and chatting, and he was talking about like Echo has been one of the more difficult characters to get out, and it's just like he was, giving the team accolades, basically saying great job because we're deep in Overwatch 2 and still trying to bring a, functional good character to the game. So it's like just a good accomplishment of the team is basically what he was saying. So yeah, I'm excited for Overwatch 2. I haven't played Overwatch base game in a long time, but I will definitely jump into Overwatch 2 when that's available.
I feel like every time they had a hero, people are kind of like, ooh, let me check this out. But I feel like lately the amount of time people play with it after they add a hero is getting less and less. And maybe Overwatch 2 will be the thing to bring it back because it feels like it doesn't have the hype that it used to.
Yeah, I think I don't know, the competitive scene around Overwatch seems pretty popular still with the Pro League, though a lot of the live games and stuff have been canceled because of, coronavirus, but I think the league is still going forward in digital, like online format. But I think a lot of the changes, I don't know, when you're balancing a game for a pro scene and everyone else that plays the game, there's, I don't know, a lot of people's opinions differ on what should be, the focus of those changes. So it becomes difficult.
Well, here is a game that has to do a lot of balancing, and it's called Teamfight Tactics, and it is coming to phone. It is come to phones as of March 19th.
Oh yeah.
I know Matt. I played a little bit. I know Matt was waist deep too.
Yeah, that's all I played last summer. Was it last summer? Yeah, for like a month and a half, all I played was Teamfight Tactics, and it was really cool. Now that it's on phone, I might try it out again, but Animal Crossing's out, so I don't know. They should put it on Switch. That would be my suggestion.
I feel like I wouldn't want to play it on phones, but I feel like it'd be a good tablet game.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Bigger device. Because, playing it on phones would be a little bit tight. This seems to be the proper, Teamfight Tactics because you can play against PC players. It's got crossplay between mobile and PC. Just like the PC version of game, the mobile version of Teamfight Tactics will also feature Little Legends, arena skins, and ranked play.
Okay.
So I just figured I'd
so it's just the same game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Teamfight Tactics is one of those games that kind of broke through of just like this wasn't just League of Legends players. This was like people playing it who didn't know who Jinx was, and that was me.
That was me as well.
I knew who Jinx was because I'm friends with Darian, but also I didn't know anybody else. So I'm not. But it's a cool game. So if you've been wanting to get in, or maybe you dropped off and were like, I'd like this if it was on a phones. It is now.
I bet it's a great phone game as far as that goes. I feel like it's well built for that. And Dota Underlords has been on the phone for a while.
Well, now to talk about if the PlayStation 5 is well built. So as I talked about earlier, they were supposed to do a hardware specs reveal at the Game Developers Conference, speaking to game developers. That GDC got canceled. Well, I guess postponed. So now they live streamed it, or pre-recorded. I'm not sure how that worked. It definitely kind of is like, hey, this is the panel that we were going to do. I do want to note that like there were a lot of people who were kind of upset about what it was because they wanted it to be kind of like a hype thing of like here's God of War and here's all
Right.
that. But it was for game developers. This was supposed to be at GDC telling game developers of like people who might make games on this of like what to expect from it, what can they get out of it, not for your average person. And maybe people didn't understand what they were getting.
Yeah. So it's weird because they use the PlayStation blog to kind of promote this, and I get why you would, because that's like your main PlayStation, output, right?
Yeah.
That's where any information about that kind of stuff would go. And a lot of the time, though, the PlayStation blog is like, here's a new game trailer, here's a release date, here's, what's free on PS Plus this month. So, like, using that as saying, hey, our, Mark Cerny, the lead architect of this hardware, is going to give, like, a very detailed technical talk. I almost feel like that's not... You've made it so PlayStation blog is not focused on that. It's more focused on fan-oriented stuff.
I mean, I get that, but obviously, like, they're talking PlayStation stuff, so
Right.
I feel like they should do it. And this, like, if they had not covered it at all, people would be upset of like, why aren't this is you're telling me about what's going to be in the next PlayStation? Why wouldn't you tell me about this?
Yeah.
So this is PlayStation news. This is
That's true.
You now know what the console is capable of because of this, not in a like look at the games or like any fancy deal. It was literally Mark Cerny up there kind of talking about like, here is what's in it. This is why we put this in it. Here's the challenges we came from. And I watched the beginning of it, probably maybe the first fifth of it. And I kind of like to picture myself as a game developer when I was listening to it and kind of going like, oh, this is actually interesting, kind of like how game developers have had to make things work in the PlayStation 4, for example, and going back, because he had kind of talked about like, hey, in the past for like PlayStation 1 through 3, we would just kind of design it and then we would put it out, and then the game developers just kind of had to deal with it. But
Right.
after things went real bad for PlayStation 3, where a lot of people were kind of having issues with it, for PlayStation 4, they talked to game developers and said, hey, here's what we're thinking. What do you think of that? And kind of got it back and forth. And I think that's why game developers really like the PlayStation 4. And they obviously did the same thing with PlayStation 5. Like, he had talked about how he has spent the last year going to different game companies and seeing what they want from the PlayStation 5 and trying to incorporate that. And I found that really fascinating. And the thing, so I got as far as him talking about them adding in the solid state drive. And that kind of says is how detailed this was. Wasn't like, hey, here's all the things that's in it. And it'll be capable of this. Look at the God of War. No, that's not what this was. This was a breakdown of like, here's what's in it. Why is this? What were the challenges that we had, and all that, and kind of putting on a like, how do games get made hat while I was watching. I found it very interesting because they talked about the solid state drive that they put in. And if he had just slapped in a solid state drive, it would be like if the solid state drive was 100 times faster than a normal hard drive, because the way normal hard drives have to work, they're basically disks. They're basically like a CD disk that spins, and they have to find the data on that disk, and it spends a lot of time looking for that disk, looking for that data. But with the solid state drive, everything's just there. There's no looking, it's just there. But so it's way, way, way faster. But there's also an issue of you'll run into bottlenecks with that solid state drive of like, sure, that's faster, but the rest of it's going to have issues because it can't process all that information. And one of the things that I found was really cool is he talked about how the Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 was made and how they kind of tried to handle how things get loaded. And so when the game is looking for the loading in an area, they're like, okay, we need a mailbox. So instead of searching the entire disk of like, okay, here's the mailbox, they put a mailbox in there on the disk on the hard drive like 50 times. So there would be a mailbox easy to find when it goes looking. So that makes it quicker to load because it can find the files it needs faster. But obviously, that makes it bigger because it's that same file multiple times in there. And he's saying like, hey, because we're doing the solid state drive, they won't need to do that. It can just find the mailbox really quick. I think this is going to make games on the PlayStation 5 faster, or it'll make it faster, but it'll also make them smaller because
Nice.
because they won't have to do that bloat of trying to, because right now they've been balancing of like, okay, we can make the game faster, but we have to double up resources so that they can find the files quicker.
Right.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's the thing that just the little bit that I watched is that they were like, this is an issue we can fix with a solid state drive. But then they said, okay, we put in the solid state drive, and you could put in a solid state drive in your PlayStation 4, but it's not going to make it, even if your solid state drive is 100 times faster than the normal hard drive, the like spinny disk hard drive, it won't be 100 times faster because you run into bottlenecks of like the processor can't handle it. So they actually they added some custom hardware to handle those bottlenecks where like the game will know of like, what should I be loading first? Like if they had the example of like, maybe you're about to go into this next stage, but on your way there, you kill a guy and he has some like last words to say, like a little cutscene has to play, that they'll put a higher priority on those last words over the stage, so that'll load faster. So due to this, they said that like, instead of it being like twice as fast with 100 times faster solid state drive, the games will load 100 times faster. They're basically talking about you're not going to see loading screens anymore because they have kind of focused on that. And that seems to be the difference between the direction that Xbox and PlayStation 5 are going, where the Xbox seems to be, they put their money in the video card, where we're getting more teraflops from the next Xbox, whereas the PlayStation 5 is focusing on storage and how fast things load. And another thing that they talked about, which I thought was really cool, is so with patches, basically when they download a patch for a game, they basically have to reinstall the entire game to put the data where they want it on the hard drive. So that's why installation of games will take a very long time when you're doing a patch. But with a solid state drive, because everything's easy to access, they can just add that new data at the back. So it's just, it should make patching things way, way faster and easier to do. So things will probably look better on Xbox, but things will load faster and I think it'll be more convenient. Like they're kind of fixing a convenience issue. A lot of things with that on the PlayStation 5, where you'll just have more sparkles and stuff on the Xbox. So Game Informer did a really cool.
Yeah, looking at this chart right now, that's what I've been looking at.
Yeah, if you want to go down the chart, I've been talking a long time about the solid state drive.
A lot of the specs are very similar overall. They use the same CPU, though the Xbox seems to get a slightly better speed out of it. The GPU is slightly, like, everything leans slightly towards the Xbox as far as just flat out specs, it seems. So the GPU, which would be like your graphics card, slightly higher teraflops. They both use a 16 gig memory, so RAM, 16 gigs of RAM. It looks like PlayStation kind of split the middle on the speed of it, where Xbox said 10 gigs is at a faster speed, and then 6 gigs is at a slightly slower speed than the PlayStation. They both have a NVMe solid state drive, I believe, though the PlayStation 1 here says custom SSD, but it's probably still the M2 format, because that's what everything is that's really fast. The I/O throughput is about double on the PlayStation. Whatever that actually means, I'm not sure what the I/O throughput has to do with.
I'm guessing that's how quickly it can, read from the hard drive, which is kind of what I've been talking about as their solid state drive is able to read things quicker and thus, load it quicker. And then, it's basically twice as fast.
So that's like the PlayStation's big edge there.
Is loading, which I guess we'll see what that means. I'll be curious if you can actually if you can get graphical advantages over a better video card if you can load more in.
I imagine for third-party games, they're going to both be built similarly, right? Like your Maddens or, something along those lines. Like you take Madden for the release year and play it on both. I wonder.
That's actually a good point. Is like graphically they'd have to go with the least the common denominator, which would be the graphical output of a PlayStation 5. But it'll load faster on the PlayStation 5 because no matter how good it's built, the PlayStation 5 can load things faster than the Xbox. So if you build the exact same game, it'll play better on PlayStation 5 just because it loads faster. Now, things built for the
maybe
console,
though. I mean, Microsoft might be doing something under the hood too, right? Like we don't know fully, so I don't know. They're very comparable systems, is what it seems.
Yeah, it just seems like Xbox went video card, PlayStation went solid state.
Xbox
loading.
went like raw power, right? Where PlayStation went
load
maybe
times.
And maybe PlayStation's trying to get the price point down. I don't know. Like if they're
I will be very curious to see what the PlayStation 5 looks like because the Xbox fucking huge. Like they legit put out a picture, and I think it was based on a meme of the Xbox Series X compared to a fridge. And I like looking at it, I was like, actually that's pretty big compared to the fridge. Like it should be tiny, but it's not that tiny.
It's a PC tower. I mean, at the end of the day, like looking at these specs, it's like, okay, my PC that I built, year and a half, 2 years ago, is like very similar specs to these boxes, except their SSDs are much larger because it was much more expensive 2 years ago to get those SSDs. And those have dropped in price significantly.
Speaking of SSDs, so I'll kind of jump into the next news story. So on PlayStation 5, you can drop in any solid state drive into your PlayStation 5 to expand it. It should be noted that it needs to be a very fast one so it can keep up with this, or else it won't work. But for the Xbox, if you want to expand your storage, you need to use one of their proprietary.
They're bringing back an old trick.
Yeah, they need to use a proprietary memory card to do it, which that doesn't usually go well.
It's always frustrating. When it's like, okay, like the Vita had proprietary SD cards.
Yeah.
The Xbox 360 had its hard drive that had its proprietary case and connector or something like that. I don't know. It's definitely something that has existed in the past,
but in general is not great.
Yeah, it's not super. I don't know. It's not easy because then you need that specific thing, right?
Yeah, and
you need that product.
It's the thing of like, so really fast solid state drive prices will probably go down in price,
right?
Just because
over time, that's what happens.
Yeah. There's so many of them that are being made, so it'll probably be very, very cheap to put in a very, very fast solid state drive into my PlayStation 5. But that proprietary Xbox memory stick is probably going to be the same price the entire time, just because they're the ones who make it. There's no competition in that scene. you have to buy their specific one to expand your solid state drive. It should be noted that this is only for Xbox Series X games. If you want to play previous games, you can connect a standard
USB drive.
Yeah, and it'll work. But if you want to play Xbox Series X games, you need their card.
If you want to expand your storage for Series
Yeah.
X games, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think they kind of look cool. So there's that. I think they're nice looking. Also, in the picture they show too, I just imagine like slotting, like 4 of them into the back of one. That just seems kind of cool. But yeah, overall, proprietary, memory slots aren't as fun as put anything you want in this.
Yeah. It's just like the versatility of just being able to be like, hey, I got this, like a new SSD came out and it's gonna work. And I've seen prices drop very heavily on hard drives that can be put in the PlayStation 4, just because pretty much any hard drive can go in the PlayStation 4 if it fits.
I'm more interested in the consoles. I'm probably not gonna get either of them this year still, but I am more interested than I have been at this point in time.
Well,
so that's good. It's going well.
What I have been planning to do is sell my PlayStation 4 so that I can play the games on the PlayStation 5, but apparently that's not for sure going to be what's happening. Because
I see all sorts of information flying around about that.
Yeah, so I guess originally there was a rumor that the PlayStation 5 would be backwards compatible all the way like Xbox is. In the blog, it says, in his presentation, Mark Cerny provided a snapshot into the top 100 most played PlayStation 4 games, demonstrating how well our backwards compatibility efforts are going. We've already tested hundreds of titles and preparing to test thousands more as we move towards launch. We will provide updates on backwards compatibility along with much more PlayStation 5 news in the months ahead. So it basically sounds like they don't have a blanket, hey, everything on PlayStation 4 is just going to work. It seems like they're kind of having to tinker and figure this out. But they are saying, it says that they believe the overwhelming majority of the 4,000 plus PS4 titles were replayable on the PlayStation 5. We're expecting backwards compatibility titles will run at a boosted frequency on the PlayStation 5 so that they can benefit from higher or more stable frame rates and potentially higher resolutions. We are currently evaluating games on a title-by-title basis to spot any issues that need adjustment from the original software developers. So it sounds like they are trying to get all PlayStation 4 games working on the PlayStation 5. They have not said anything about previous to that, there was a PlayStation 3 game, Ratchet & Clank All for One, and there's a PlayStation 1 game, Digimon World 1 for the PlayStation 1. It's just called Digimon World 1, but I always specify because there are other Digimon World games. But the very first one, Digimon World 1 on the PlayStation 1, had a very special game design that's the one I want to play. So those are two. If they do full backwards compatibility, those are the games that I very much want to play. People are like, you didn't care that much about backwards compatibility. And in general, no, I'm not going to play everything that's available. But I'm sure everybody has like one game from past generations that they'd be excited to play if they could.
It's interesting because I think Microsoft basically has the ball in their court now, right? Like they got out early enough saying, okay, this is the thing we're working on. And then they just sat back. And so now they have the technical specs, and now they have,
Yeah, they've been working on backwards compatibility for a while.
2 or 3 years now, right? Since they started doing the 360 games on Xbox One.
Yeah. So they've been working towards it. And personally, it's a good feature. I think there is something very strong about having full backwards compatibility. Like some people will be like, "Oh, only the new ones matter," but I think having access to your beloved game, or like there will be articles I see come out of like, this game was very unique, or this game like had a huge impact on games to come, and it would be great to be able to access that game.
Yeah.
and some of them aren't accessible on current hardware. And it'd be nice to have that.
I think PlayStation probably needs to go more the Nintendo route, though, and figure out, okay, like, what are our classics or what are our most beloved games, and have a way to provide those, maybe if you're a PlayStation Plus member, right? Like, straight up copy the Nintendo model there.
They have PlayStation Now, but I don't want the streaming. I want to be able to have the actual thing and just play.
I log into an app, and there's an arcade of PS1 games, right?
Yeah, I want it downloaded on my thing and not having to stream it. Because I mean, streaming is finicky, and it's nice to be able to access my game. Okay, that is the news. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope that our Patreon producers enjoyed it, because they help support the show, like you can if you go to patreon.com/lastgeek. And for $5 a month, you can get a shout out on each and every episode of Ready, Set, Gamecast, the hit video game news and discussion podcast, like Aaron C. and Dragons Lucas did. Thank you very much. You help support the show, help pay for the software we use, the
Bryce's Island Getaway.
My Bryce's Island Getaway, the video games. I actually just did my taxes. And because Last Geek is a business, because we do make an income from people like you giving financial support, I was able to write off things like video games and the software we use as business expenses. So if it wasn't for you, I would not be able to treat this like a business, because I wouldn't be making income. So I very much appreciate the people who help support Last Geek and the content we make. We actually do have some plans for some cool stuff to be releasing to the Patreon soon. So if you're looking to watch some great content, patreon.com/lastgeek. $1 will get you the early access stuff. $5 will get you shout outs on whichever podcast you prefer. $8 gets you on both. And then there's higher tiers, like we'll send you a letter. Would you like a letter?
Oh.
We got stickers. I can send you a sticker. There's a sticker from my other podcast. It's holographic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, if you do the mail tier, we'll send you a sticker. But thank you, Aaron C. and Dragons Lucas, for getting out there and supporting the show. This brings us to Teddy's Conversation Corner. I need to get Teddy to sing a song about that so we can play.
We should get him to record something to insert. Ask him what his thoughts are on The Lord of the Rings. I think he's watching them right now.
Yep. Well, if you want to be part of the show, you can go to readysetgamecast.com/submit to submit a question, comment, or your favorite Lord of the Rings character for us to read on the show.
That's a good one.
Aaron asks, who is your favorite Animal Crossing character?
Oh, geez. I meant to look up Animal Crossing characters. I'm actually... Okay. This is probably not my favorite character, but right now, on my island, I have Agnes. She's a pig, and I really enjoy her. So I'm going to keep her around for as long as she'll stay.
Wow.
So I guess Agnes is my answer. I met a cool horse today. I don't remember his name, though.
I'm sure somebody can telepathically communicate the information to me about what the bunny that's on my island is called. Her like mouth is like sideways on her face. It's super weird. She's all right. Like, I don't love her.
Did it work? I tried really hard.
No, I don't think you know the answer though. I feel like there's somebody who does know the answer. I've been communicated that it's like Maya or something. So she wears like a lot of red. She kind of has like a wrestler or she looks like she could be like a Power Ranger.
All right.
I like her look. It's fine, but I don't love her. Though I was watching Griffin McElroy from my brother and me and the Adventure Zone fame, former Polygon editor. He was
the Besties podcast.
That's also a thing.
Let's just plug more of their stuff.
and he did a YouTube stream of Animal Crossing, and I saw who was on his island, and he's got this like kangaroo, I guess, that looks like a robot, and I'm like, I don't know who they are, but I want them. They're my favorite. Both of the ones that they got look both very cool, and I think it's because they're an influencer. Also, Matt, what's your title? What's your title on?
Oh, geez, I just made it something alliteration. That's what I meant to say, not illiterate.
Capable of being read.
So what it was before this afternoon was Nook Inc.'s Papa, which I was really proud of. But now it's something with F, and I don't remember.
I'm told the robot is called Rocket the Ostrich.
Oh.
They're an ostrich, I guess.
That sounds cool.
Yep.
How many towns people are there?
I think there's about 400. I know there's 400 amiibo cards. And I think they've added new characters. So
I did not expect an answer anywhere close to that.
It's a lot. I mean, they've been adding...
I expected like 60.
Well, it's more than that.
Yeah, apparently. Oh.
Why? Are we hoping to catch them all?
I don't know, but I was not expecting 400.
Well, I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So mine is inexperienced influencer. So that's
nice.
Greg Miller had so-called influencer, and I'm like, well, I'm not that. I'll go like, because there was like future influencer, and let's make it clear, I hate the term influencer. I'm a content creator. Nobody called me an influencer, but they didn't have that, so that's the closest thing. And so
my current one has future in it.
Yeah, I was gonna go with future, and I'm like, well, I make content now. I've been doing it for like 5 years. I'm just real bad at it, so I'm just inexperienced. So I went with that.
Well, though you're experienced, have you been doing it 5 years?
Sure, but there's more experience available. Anyway. Though apparently I visited somebody's island, and they told me that they're like islanders, they're villagers. Are they islanders, or what are they? Like, you would
villagers, I'd call them generally.
But they're on an island now, not a village.
It'll be a village eventually.
Maybe. But they were apparently obsessed with my title. Okay, well, next question comes from Quarantina. And they say, choose one of these sold out items, a bidet or a Ring Fit Adventure. I'm going with a bidet because I use a bidet several times a day, and my girlfriend is the one who plays Ring Fit Adventure, and she maybe does it once a week.
Wow. I'm going with Ring Fit Adventure because that's how you're going to stay in shape throughout this process, Quarantina.
I don't know. I had a massive downtown exploration, and
that's a different thing.
I was
a big old Plinko.
No, I had a big Plinko. There we go. That's the callback I was looking for. So I used it several times and came back from that adventure sparkling clean. Ring Fit Adventure just gets you.
At what point do you just take a shower?
Never. I mean, I guess in the morning when I have to take a shower, but it would have to be a serious explosion if I was like, actually, a shower is what needs to be done here. Bill and Ted writes, how do you feel about time traveling in Animal Crossing?
So are you talking like the save scum kind of
where you change your
advance the days?
Yeah, where you change your clock to be able to progress.
I don't need to do it personally. I'm fine going along in real time. But I understand, like, if you're streaming, why you would want to do it. If that makes sense.
See, I feel like we kind of talked about this earlier, is that like Animal Crossing on the tin is kind of supposed to be this like chill, relaxing, like life happens at a slow pace. And time traveling is like against the theme. It's against the idea of what Animal Crossing was built on. And it's like, if you're gonna do that, Stardew Valley is what you should be playing, or something like that, where like time progresses as you play the game.
Right. Is Mr. Rossetti not in the game?
From my understanding, he runs the rescue services.
That makes sense. That's actually a really good use for him.
Yep.
But yeah, he used to yell at you, and so in older Animal Crossings, if you changed the clock and did it multiple times, it got longer every time you did it. So like eventually he'd be, you'd be sitting at a 15-minute wall of text before you could actually play because you reset the time so many times.
Yeah, from my understanding, there's not too much of repercussions for time traveling. You'll get I think you get basically the same thing you'd get for not playing in a long time, where you'll have bedhead, you'll have cockroaches,
right,
and such, but not anything of like, hey, a character's going to chew you out or anything like that. But yeah, I feel like time traveling is kind of against the theme of Animal Crossing, and yeah, I sure it's gonna get you ahead, but also Animal Crossing kind of feels like it's supposed to be the game where you play for a little bit, you have a time, and then you put it down, and then you come back later.
Yeah,
but I get that. Like, I'll be curious to see what Teddy does, because I know Teddy like loves the grind.
Okay.
He's very much a deal of like when Destiny kind of went the way of like, hey, you play this for a little bit and then you come back next week. He was like, I can't
people
handle
will churn. Like people that are doing that will churn within 2 weeks or a month or something like that, right? They won't necessarily want to even play the game anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, they'll kind of, if they've been time traveling, they probably won't have anything to look forward to. They probably reached the kind of things that you would do, and I think there's something to everybody kind of doing things in the same time. Like we're kind of all progressing our islands in a similar rate. There's like, you can get a little bit ahead of things, but we're all kind of in this together, whereas the time travelers are already a month ahead or something.
Yeah.
So
I do have to do that island exploration.
I'm not a fan of the way that works. But I guess the cops should arrest you if you're a time traveler. You heard it here first. The cop should be illegal. This is the end of our anti-time traveling message, known as the Ready Set Gamecast podcast. But first, we're gonna go through the housekeeping to sweep up the cobwebs of days past. Go to lastgeek.com for links to the podcast on all your favorite podcast services, including iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, as well as the video version on youtube.com/lastgeek. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on iTunes and Stitcher. And also Podchaser. I think that's a review service. It helps us grow and become more powerful. Also tell your friends. That's like probably the biggest one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, because like the reviews help if people are already like clicked on our thing and they're like, well, what do people think? But people need to find us.
You got to get those clicks.
Yeah, we need to
get people searching it by telling your friends and saying, hey, listen to this.
Yeah, we need a whole lot more listens to even make it on the charts. So unless people are searching for Ready Set Gamecast, people aren't going to find us. So please tell people to search for us. Other Last Geek stuff you should check out. We got a merch store. Check it out, lastgeek.com/store. Newest GameMate Corp episode 56 is out, where we made Quarantine Royale. It's a quarantine-based battle royale.
Where everyone sits in their own room?
Yeah, actually. It's
perfect.
It's a game about gathering supplies for the royale, so you have to grab stuff, and then the rest of the game is like, how long can you survive based on what you managed to gather.
That's like 60 seconds.
60 seconds, except that it's competitive with other people. And there's some stuff going on. There's Waldos in it. It's a whole experience. Listen to the podcast. It's great content. And Nidhogg 2 Let's Play is either coming or is out. depending on when we release the video, I'm considering releasing it early because maybe people need something to watch right now. We're going to pull a Disney and release our content early. We'll see.
Also a sequel, Nidhogg 2, Frozen 2.
Yep, that's why we're doing it. Okay, well, this is the actual ending of the podcast where we ask Matt where people can find him.
Before that happens, I have to ask, on the subject of time travel.
Yeah?
If your future self came back to tell you something, is it, based on what you said before, is your initial reaction just arrest this man?
I mean, in Animal Crossing, that is illegal. It is a crime in the Kingdom of Endless, which is my island. What'd you name yours?
Brineland.
Ah.
I tried to make it Briny Island, but that didn't fit.
I think everybody kind of agreed that it's whatever island, but they never say that. They never say that, which kind of upsets me, or else I would have maybe went with something else.
Yeah,
because
there's only a 10-character limit, and island is 6 letters, so...
Yeah, I really like Endless Island, but I don't really like, hey, come to my town to Endless, like, as a standalone name. There's times that it works, like Endless Airport. Like, that sounds cool, but just like, hey, welcome to Endless doesn't sound as cool. But
yeah.
So
if I was naming it now, I would have named mine Briny Bay.
Yeah. Alex Van Aken, hit content creator for OK Beast. I visited his island. He gave me some oranges.
Nice.
And his island is named Breezy Bay. And I'm like, shit, that's really good.
That's good.
So there's some real good ones out there. I just like Stardew Town or Stardew Farms. They always have blank farms, so you kind of know that like, hey, the second part's gonna be farm. And I guess they didn't say one way or another, but I think I kind of assumed that they were gonna say blah blah island, and that was not the case. But this
anyway
brings us to you can find Matt at Pickletown,
you
USA.
You can find me on Brineland. That's right. But yeah, at Dilbert Pickled across the internet. I'll probably post some stuff on Twitter, and actually I already have. My passport's really cool. Not the one that's on there, but the one I have now. So maybe I'll post that eventually. At Dilbert Pickled around the web.
You can follow me on Twitter at Last Geek. You can follow me on Twitch at Last Geek Plays. I've been streaming once in a while, maybe some Animal Crossing. I'd considered doing it earlier, but then I took a nap. But we've been trying to do some board game streams. It's kind of cool. YouTube.com/LastGeek for video game news, improv comedy, Let's Plays, all that great content. Maybe we'll add some new stuff.
One-man shows?
Maybe.
Oh, wow. That's a promise.
Eventually, there'll be a video game showcase, assuming that the thing it's going to be at doesn't get canceled. So far, there's not a plans to. So we'll see. Yep, that's all the great. Instagram.com/LastGeekPlays. LastGeek.com for all the links to things. There's a cool about us page where you can see Erin in the video editor in a cool coat. She looks real pretty. And there's a picture I took of... No, Becca's took it of herself, but she's sitting next to a bottle of Mountain Dew. Literally, like, I was like, hey, Becca's, I need a picture of you for the About Us. And she didn't respond, so I just went on Facebook and found a picture of her. And all of the descriptions were written by me, and I think you can tell that based on the words that are there. But that is the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, and enjoying, and we will see you again in 2 weeks.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.